Hey guys, I am going to record storytelling sessions. That's one of my goals. And I wanted to, actually, I'm mainly recording this for my son. My kids are born in America, so they don't understand Indian cultures, but I'm a clairvoyant and I follow Swami Nityananda. And I'm going to use some of the teachings from the ancient system, Nityananda's way of training us, and then other teachings I learned from Dushyant Sridhar. So I'm going to bring it into a story format. So there are certain tidbits about Ram's life, Bhagwan Ram and Sita's life that I would like to share. One of the thing is Chandrasekhar Swami used to be the lineage of the Raghuvansh, which is Ram's avatar. And Chandrasekhar Swamiji had a immunity against legal proceedings. But unfortunately, that lineage was destroyed by Indian E.V. Ramaswamy's lineage. And how I know it is, actually, if you watch Subramania Swami, who is like our um, minister, and I forgot like what role he's playing, but he encounters Chandrasekhar Swamiji, and Chandrasekhar Swamiji educates him about here Ramaswamy, and Subramania Swami says he doesn't remember who is E.R. Ramaswamy, and Chandrasekhar Swamiji says you're going to eventually understand the connections. But the reason E.R. Ramaswamy's karma was good is because he took the position of a temple trustee from his father, and he destroyed the whole Indian culture, but maintained his job. So he was able to earn from the temple proceedings, and that's how he brings in the whole temple organization and the atheist group. So if you understand that, you could see how the greediness of people interfered with temple organization, and suddenly, like, the priests were at a loss because they didn't know how to manage the temple, and the whole management was given to people who don't even understand the truths, higher truths. And this is told by Subramanian Swami. I'm not like saying anything fancy. But the thing is, Chandrasekhar Swami could not protect his own lineage, Jayendra Saraswati Swami, and he was tortured by what's her name? Ramani. She is a storyteller, Anuradha Ramanan. Anuradha Ramanan pretended Jayendra Saraswati Swami raped her and took a false allegations, and Jayalalitha also went and ruined his reputation, blackmailing him that he needs to give money, and Jayendra Saraswati Swami performed, but he did end up in the jail for 1 year for no reason, right? Like, unfortunately, there is nobody to back him up. And so he he then comes out and performs Devasam for Jayalalitha, who really died because of the way his intense tapas was granted. All this nobody is going to care about, but I'm just telling for completion. So when my Swamiji, in telepathy, I am a clairvoyant, and in telepathy, he contacted me in 2001. He says he is the Rajaguru. He is like a king, Kshatriya, but he took the sannyas, Kshatriya sannyas, and he was of the lineage of Meenakshi. And Meenakshi's parents, the mother is from Chola kingdom. And so she marries the Pandya king, and together they bring Meenakshi to life. And Meenakshi is a foster daughter. She was not given birth by them, but she was raised by them. And in that lineage, Swami Nityananda was ordained. And I saw him in energy. and he was talking about how we all need to meet. And I went and met him in 2016. I think that's the first time I met him, but in energy, I knew him from 2001, which might not make sense to some people, but this is not about making sense. Um, so the reason I'm bringing it up is, so the Chandrasekhar Swamiji lineage terminated with Jayendra Saraswati Swamiji's death, which was last January it happened. And Swamiji took over the lineage because each lineage, the anna, the prasad from the temple has to be carried on. So Kanjipuri Idli was taken over by Swamiji, and he carried that as his prasad. And I think he also carried for sweets laddu, I think, but you guys can check. So the lineage of Chandrasekhar Swamiji was carried out by Swami Nityananda. You guys, I think in Tamil Nadu, if you follow the lineage, if you follow and understand, it will be so awesome. There are so many sampradayas that's lost. He says we have like 11,000 sampradayas. So the one he offered to me when we were doing meditation stuff, I asked Swamiji, what's my path? Because I love to worship Lakshmi. So he told me, choose your own path, find out your source. So the Datta, which is the lineage of Shankara, Adi Shankara himself. So I decided to follow. But Swamiji then announced last year Jagannath's wife position is coming up vacant because the girl who used to do Jagannath's wife died last year. So I decided to take out that position. So I applied, and here I live in Florida now. They have Manav Mandir temple in Melbourne, and which is actually Jagannath, Sri Vittala, they call him. And then Jagannath is the main lineage. So I decided to become his bride, and I took out one of the garland, and I decided to wear his mangalyam to follow his lineage. What it is like a commitment. You become a divine mother and you get committed to follow the lineage. But to come back to Chandrasekhar Swamiji, so he talks about how Ram and Sita had intimate conversation. Sita says, why do we even go back to the city? Can we just relax here and end our life? And Ram says, you are proving to be Janaka's wife, Janaka's wisdom as a daughter. So they talk to each other. And I love the way Chandrasekhar Swamiji says it in Tamil. In Brahmin language, he says, Anna, பேசாம நம்ம இந்த காட்டிலே இருந்துள்ளமே எதுக்கு திரும்பி இதுக்கு போறதுக்கு நாட்டுக்கு போறது அப்படின்னு. So there are few tidbits about Ram I love. One is he was a loner. So when he comes across Sita and he tries to marry her during Swayamvar, the minute he achieves victory of that sarang, right? Like he takes out the Pinaka Hasta, like Pinaka, that bow and arrow given by Parshuram. When he breaks it, and then he gets a blessing to marry her, the first thing that occurs to him is, I never need to walk this alone anymore. He knows he has a best partner in Sita. And then they were so connected in their mental and heart level. They had no disagreements at all. And one of the misunderstanding I remember Dushyant Sridhar was saying was, when Lakshman draws the uh, fire, like the boundary for her, so she wouldn't cross over and go and feed anybody. Actually, the fire, the person who crossed over is a duplicate of her. So if you understand, it's kind of tough to wrap our mind around. But there was a AI, artificial intelligent being, who went with Ravana. So the Ravana never captured Sita. So that's why when Sita is rescued, when she comes back, Agni Pariksha was done, not because Ram didn't believe in her, but he's swapping the AI with his original wife. Like there are like so many intimate details I learned. And then I got into the bhava of Sita, like, I'm like saying, Mom, teach me your ways. And I did want to complete with that process. And what I found was Ram was always confused about his role as a career man. Okay, so he went with his CEO's opinion and his board of trustees and all the other stuff. So I could easily see that. And because of that career based decision, he really didn't keep track of his family very well. So Sita ends up being a single parent, raises her children to the best of her ability. And still, when she comes back, he's still bothered about people's opinion. She says, I'm done with you. So she leaves. And then he goes into a vegetative state because he cannot believe, like, he lost her finally. And then when he does the Jala Samadhi, which means, like, he commits suicide, like in another way, in the underwater world, they, like, he eventually gets back with her because of Earth. She's Mother Earth, so she accepts him back. So there are a lot of like side stories which we do not comprehend, and we are making a human interpretation of the ancient times. And Ram, bow and arrow, by the way, for Buddhists, is the resting place. They come to Sarangabani. Sarangabani is in Kumbakonam. And in Buddhists, the highest level they could reach is Padmapani, Mahaguruji Mailing, who happens to be born out of lotus. Is Padmapani, and they have Vajra as its tool. And Vajram happens to be Sarangam, which Kaustubam, there is another word for it, which Vishnu wears it on his heart. So, so the blue stone, which is turquoise for a Native American, like, so, but Kaustubam is a lapis lazuli. So it chooses the owners. Like, when I came across this, the lapis lazuli said it will only find people who it wants to be worn by. And this is Sri Yantra. Sri Yantra I have been working with from 2002. So I have a lot of connections because of that. And Mantrini Barahi herself protects me and guides me. Lalita came into my life. Mahalakshmi also, like, guides me constantly. So these are the things I wanted to share about Krishna. I mean, Krishna, I'm saying Rama. And then Krishna came into my life. I think I'm working with Krishna more this year. And Krishna loves the devotion aspect of the girls. So he's very protective. He's like the eternal boyfriend you can have. And he's a boy that happens to be a friend. There is nothing like ulterior motive with Krishna. He's really very, very loving. And I had a very nice encounter with Krishna when Krishna prays with our mind, like, he tricks us, and he will lead us sometimes into troubles, but he'll always walk with you. So the difference between Shiva and Krishna, I mean Vishnu, I found is Vishnu will give you trouble, but he'll always be by your side when you're paying back your troubles. Whereas Shiva takes a very long time to process how you understand things. So, like how your right brain, you'll be thinking, what is that? What is this? And suddenly it wakes up and gives you the answer. That is Shiva's component in us. So he helps us to perceive things in a visual manner. And he loves, both of them love music. So when you get into the zone, you dance with both Shiva and Vishnu. That is what I wanted to share, and I'll keep telling you guys more story. Okay, love you.